expensive, especially because I'm out of the state. So it's like $30,000 a year plus. So the program, because I'm doing the lab work, is covering for that, and then I get the stipend every month for teaching, which is about $1,500 a month. So it's nice.
And when you become when you apply for a job as a professor, what would be the starting pay for that?
And that varies depending on, there's different, you can be a full-time professor that just teaches, or you can do one that is more research-based. But I'm thinking it's probably about 65,000 to 70,000 starting.
So is the stress level pretty high or low?
It comes in waves. Because it seems like it all happens at once, where I'll be having a test in my class, and then I'm also have tons of grades that I'm trying to get graded, and at the same time, we're doing big experiments in lab. So it comes and it goes. There are some really stressful times, but there's also some times that are more laid back while you're waiting for things to grow. That's the other thing is, with research, you kind of are on you have to wait for things to happen. So like with growing cells, you have to wait. I did some work with mosquitoes, and that took a long time because we would hatch the mosquitoes from eggs, and then we had to wait 14 days for them to grow up, and then you have to feed them and wait 6 days after that. So there was a lot of waiting. But then it seemed like as soon as we fed them 6 days later, it was crazy busy because we had to extract DNA and do all these different tests. So that, when it gets time, it's crunch time and it's super busy. But there's also some other times that aren't busy. So it comes in waves. It'd probably be the best way to describe it. Is that it's stressful, but it's not. It just depends on the day.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
I really like the idea of solving novel questions. So there's the stuff we're working on, people have never figured out before. And so we're the first ones that are making progress in this, and it's exciting. And it's kind of a race because there are lots of companies and different schools around the nation that are doing the same kind of research. And so it's a race to find out who can answer the questions the fastest. So it's exciting. That's my favorite thing, is that I feel like I'm actually contributing. That's why I like the virus things and things like that, where you can go out and you see people that are, have these diseases, and it's cool to actually be doing the research that's going to help figure out how those viruses work. I remember when I was working with the Alzheimer's one, it was really cool because we actually found a protein that is down-regulated in Alzheimer's. So a normal brain has normal levels of this protein, but then when you get Alzheimer's, all of a sudden this protein is decreasing in amount, and that was, we were the first ones to discover that, and so it's just cool to think, I helped discover this that might actually someday lead to some sort of treatment or some way to help people. So.
And
what do you dislike most about it? Or is it nothing?
Probably just there's a lot of failures before you have any success. And so like that example I was just saying where we found that protein, I spent 3 months trying to get a Western blot to work, trying to get this procedure to work, and it was day and day, day and night I was coming into the lab, trying different things, trying to get it to work, and it fails probably 95% of the time. You don't get anything to work, but that 5% is what makes it all worth it. But the hardest part that I don't like is all of the failure. You come in and you spend a whole day working on something, or a whole week, or a whole month building up, growing mosquitoes, trying to get it to work, and then something doesn't work at the end, and you have to start completely over. So that's the hard thing, is feeling like you're actually accomplishing things when sometimes it's been a couple months and you haven't had any results.
And when you're searching for a job, when you're in a job, do you want to be researching and figuring out what's going on with diseases, or do you want to be teaching more and teaching people how to become people become microbiology as a career?
That's actually an interesting question. I'm actually kind of still in the process of figuring that out. When I came here, I really wanted to just get my PhD and then be a professor and teach. But now I'm actually getting into the research a lot, and I like the research. So it's an interesting balance. I don't know. I like the teaching aspect of it because I like being able to teach people and see the change in people's lives and help people to understand things. I think it's really exciting. But I also love the research where you can actually see your hard work is paying off to answer other questions that are unknown. So it's right now I'd probably say that I want to do half and half. There's professors that do, you know, they have their own lab, but they also teach a class or two. And so I think that would be perfect where I'm teaching a class or two a semester and working in the lab, rather than just being a full-time professor. But it's up to change. I don't really know.
So what has been your biggest accomplishment, like your greatest moment?
That's a good question. Right now I have, like here at CSU, I haven't had a whole lot of great accomplishments because, like I said, I've been doing these little rotations, and so I've just been doing little teeny projects with nothing super crazy. But I still, that when I probably go back to my internship where I worked, 3 months, and it was that last month that we actually got things starting to work, and we found that protein that was being decreased in Alzheimer's brains, and I thought that was just exciting because everyone was excited, and we were going to write a paper and publish it because we had found this new discovery. So I think probably that still would probably be one of the highlights. I haven't really had the opportunity myself to, because I'm doing rotations still, to actually have a aha moment.
Do you have any, what advice would you give someone if they were going to go into this?
I would say absolutely you should do it. It's great. I actually really, really enjoy it. I love it, and I would give advice that it's definitely a lot of work. The classes you have to take to get your bachelor's degree are hard. It's 4 years of hard coursework, and when you're a grad student, it's hard classes and things like that. But it's worth it. So I think that the advice would just be to learn to work hard and to learn to be self-motivated. I think that's a big one. Is you can't just be expected just go to class and think that the teacher is going to tell you everything you need to know. The teacher doesn't have time for that. There's always more that you need to figure out and research on your own. So to be a hard worker, to be self-motivated, and just to be responsible with your time and be responsible with what you have to work with.
Okay. Any more questions?